A lot of people don't quite understand what sleep apnea is, and some of them think it's just snoring, and certainly snoring is a part of the whole spectrum of sleep disordered breathing. And sleep disordered breathing means that when you go to sleep, the breathing is changing in such a way that is detrimental to your physiology. And the very first sign that something might not be right is snoring. And snoring can happen as a standalone thing. It can be very disruptive in the home, very disruptive to your bed partner. Often the bed partner may not have sleep apnea, but they often get a lot of the symptoms of sleep apnea because their sleep is so fragmented by having their snoring partner beside them. So from your own physiology plus from your bed partner's physiology, it's really important to get the snoring under control. But you can have sleep apnea and not be a snorer. So it's not the only tool. So if you are there and you are not a snorer, it doesn't mean you haven't got a problem. The next thing up from that is called upper airway resistance syndrome. And what happens there is, and this is particularly for women, premenopausal women. So a lot of these patients get completely overlooked, and a lot of them fall within my pain patients. So they'll come in, they have non-restorative sleep, they've got headaches, they've got chronic pain, they feel miserable, they'll say, I feel like a truck's run over me the next morning. But I've even had a sleep study, but it came back normal. These are the things that they'll often report. But what's happening is that they're actually saving themselves from sleep apnea. So they've got sleep disordered breathing, and their body is their sympathetic nervous system is on such high alert that they don't let it collapse. So these people are often very highly strung, they've tensed, they'll snap at you. They often can come across really kind of nasty. But when you get it under control, they'll sort of say, I just feel calmer. And that's because we've actually lowered that sympathetic nervous system. And it's a really, really important part of the care. So I do not overlook that possibility when it comes to pain patients. Up from that, we start to have collapse of the airway. And this is where the AHI comes in. And AHI simply means apnea-hypopnea index. It's the number of times that you stop breathing completely, as in you've got a collapse, or a partial collapse enough that your blood oxygen is dropping. And it's being picked up by the monitors. So normally if we're awake, we should be sitting at about 99% oxygen running through our blood all the time. It's quite normal when you go to sleep that you drop a couple of percent. That's completely normal. So, 95, 96 might be quite acceptable. But when you have sleep apnea and your airway collapses, you're not getting air. So you're not getting gas exchange in your lungs, and now the oxygen starts to drop quite significantly. And as it drops, it'll get picked up, but our sensors in our body have gone to sleep too. They're not as responsive. So it can drop quite dramatically, and now that has very, very profound effects on the body. You can imagine that's the same as me doing this to you. What will happen? The body says, okay, I'm not getting gas exchange, so I'm going to constrict all the blood vessels. So I'm keeping the blood for my heart and my brain. So you get constriction of the blood vessels. That increases your blood pressure. Okay. On top of that, the heart realises that I haven't got good blood here, so I better not pump out too much, blood, so that the output drops, the rate of your heart beating actually slows down, and eventually the stress mechanism keeps kicking in until you rouse. Not enough to wake up necessarily, but you rouse and you fragment your sleep, and then all of a sudden that slowing heart starts racing. And with that, now the heart's beating really quickly and it hits that constricted blood supply, so you have a huge surge in your blood pressure. So this is happening. If it happened once, it'd be quite irrelevant, but it happens between 5 and 100 times an hour. Okay, so the more it happens, obviously, the more severe the sleep apnea and the more severe the consequences. It's a really, really serious condition.